What's up everyone, it's Emma. Welcome back to my channel, and because today is International Disability Day, I thought it would be fun to do a video on my remote learning experience as a blind acting student. I have some questions here that I'm going to be answering, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first question is, how has COVID-19 changed how you learn as a student with a disability? So as most of you may know, acting is very much an in-person, physical, face-to-face type of field to go into. And so when quarantine started, it was kind of very interesting because we had to reevaluate that for me. Obviously, that needed to be reevaluated for everybody else. And then just, on top of that, for me, there were a lot of things that we had to look at because, for example, I would do these scene study classes, or like we did one where we had to work on Greek theater. Luckily, we were able to finish that before quarantine started. But in that class, I had to learn about all the different physical gestures and everything, and my teacher was able to physically come over and show me that. Going into quarantine, we couldn't do that, so we had to figure out how to adapt. So they had to figure out how to adapt their classes for Zoom, and then figure out how to adapt my accommodations for me so that we could all figure everything out. It ended up working pretty well, but that's definitely the one thing that's changed for me, is that I don't have that physical assistance anymore. And some days it's harder than others, but yeah, that's basically the biggest thing that's changed. I do have virtual assistants though, and sometimes, sometimes for some of my classes I'll need a virtual assistant, and that's pretty much someone who comes in and sits in on my classes with me. Like, they'll chill on Zoom, and then I'll have them on like Google Meet on another device, or Google Hangouts or something, and then we will just take the classes that way depending on what I need. We've done virtual movie screenings where someone will have to read the description, or like read the subtitles of the movie to me, because we watch foreign films, and then still have to describe what's going on in the movie while we're all on Zoom, or while we're both on Zoom. So that's, we make it work, but that's pretty much how it's changed. Next question is, how do you manage the Zoom meetings? So obviously, like I said, my school does Zoom classes, and that's our primary form of remote learning. And this is just so that we can still maintain as much of a classroom setting as possible and still interact with each other, because we are film students, and so we kind of need that interaction for a lot of our things that we do. So yeah, we do that, and sometimes it's hard to manage just because we have one or two classes a day, and sometimes we have 3 classes a day just due to scheduling. But it's, it gets manageable some days, and some days it's less manageable than others, but I kind of just go through the motions. Sometimes my camera will turn off without me knowing it, and then we figure that out. Sometimes my audio will just not want to work that day, and we'll figure it out. But that, that happens to everybody, but yeah, that happens. I think this semester is a lot better than the previous one, just in the sense that we took a lot of our academic classes last semester so that we could try and get those out of the way, because they were hoping that we would be back in the fall so that we could, continue our acting classes. So because we moved our academic classes around, we took, I think I was taking 5 academic classes, which I'm not used to, just because they're balanced with the acting ones. So that was pretty hectic at times, because you just had to sit there. You couldn't move around and stuff. So yeah. As a blind student, do you view online school as inconvenient? I view it as challenging. I think it's inconvenient for everybody. Definitely for me, in the sense that I do, like I said earlier, rely on the physical aspect. Besides the fact that we're doing acting, I do rely on just, physical help in terms of learning, and that's just how I learn most effectively. But yeah, I would say that it's definitely not most people's ideal way of doing things, but we try to make it work. So yeah, it's it's a little inconvenient, obviously, just because like I said, it's not the ideal way of doing things. But we try and make it work, and we're definitely finding creative ways every day to move forward. Do you feel like you are learning as much in an online setting as you do in person? So this is an interesting question because my classmates and I were talking about it, I don't know when, a couple days ago, because we were talking about how we're doing a virtual play and how we're learning how to put on a play in our in this particular class, and ordinarily we would do it at school and in the classroom setting, and so we would learn how to do that way. But now we're still learning how to put on a play, but we're just learning different tools. And so I think that I was definitely afraid that I wasn't going to be learning as much personally, just because I didn't know how we were going to do movement with me on Zoom, and I didn't know how I was going to do a play on Zoom, because it's a lot of like camera adjustments and all of that different, or like all those different things that you've got to consider, and it was a lot. And I will give props to the accessibility department at my school and the acting department in that regard, because I had so many questions and they were just like, it's okay, we're gonna be okay. But they still listened to all my my fears. So yeah, I think it's definitely a team effort, but I definitely think that I'm learning new tools, and so yeah, we're not learning the same thing that we maybe would have learned, but I think we're definitely learning something that would be of equal value to us someday in the future. So yeah, it's been pretty fun. What do you view as the most challenging part about online learning? Definitely, without being repetitive, which I feel like I am, the fact that I have no physical help. And I'll give you a little example. Sometimes, or a lot of the time, what would happen to me is we would do little warm-up things, and they'd be like, okay, let's do some stretches. And if I didn't understand the stretch they were trying to explain, my teacher would show me, or my classmate would just be like, well, I'm gonna do it. So it's definitely weird, because now I can't just turn to one of my classmates and be like, what's going on? Because we're on Zoom. But again, they're definitely very helpful when it comes to that, and they try their best, honestly, and I'm really grateful I've been really grateful for all my classmates and teachers from the beginning of my experience in this college as a whole, but definitely through quarantine, they have still been the same people, and they kind of just, they still do what they do. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, that's definitely been the most challenging, is just not having that kind of help, and just sometimes feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. But they're always quick to kind of jump in and help in the way that they can. So I appreciate that. How do you stay mentally resilient throughout the stress that online learning can bring? Honestly, I take it day by day, and sometimes I take it class by class, depending on how I'm feeling. And I think the reason I've been able to stay mentally resilient, and I will be honest, I did go through a very rough patch during the summer, because I was struggling a lot, not in terms of, just in terms of like the motivation and the resilience and stuff, because I don't know, I felt like it was just, one day my camera wasn't working, and then the audio was not working, but the camera was working, and then it's a lot kind of just started happening, and I I think what's helped me now is because when it happened in the summer, I was kind of just on my own, or I felt like I was on my own. I didn't really, talk to people about it. Now when something goes wrong, I'll text my friend and I'll be like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to do. What do I do? And that's definitely helped. And then, like I said, taking things day by day, class by class, depending on how you're feeling, and just realizing that today's going to be the way that today's going to be, and tomorrow's going to be another day. So, yeah. The next question this comes from somebody else who's a friend of mine that is also a blind college student, but she is in a different major, so hopefully I will be able to help her answer this question. But she says, this might be a stupid question, lol, but how do you know where the camera's pointing in relation to your face? Sorry if this is ignorant, but I know I'm having trouble with this, so I'm just asking for any tips. First of all, it is not a stupid question at all, and I'm not an expert, but I promise you I will try and answer this question to the best of my ability for you. So for me, what I kind of just do is, for the classes where we're sitting down, I make sure that I take my classes in the same spot. So I will set up my computer in the same spot, and then I'll just sit and kind of try and adjust myself to sit in the middle of the screen, if that makes sense. So the screen's in front of me with equal amount of screen space on the left and on the right, and that basically helps. But then I'll also just acknowledge that I'm sometimes not fully in frame, and that's okay too, and I try not to sit too close to the camera most of the time. Sometimes I forget, so that they can see me as nicely as possible. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but that's definitely what I do for classes when we're just sitting down. For those that we kind of stand up and move around in, that's a whole other story. And I'm definitely no expert at that, but if you're taking classes that you're just sitting down in, that's kind of what I do. So hopefully that helps. The final question is, would you say that the experience is different from when you started to now? And my answer to this is 150,000% yes. Because I think going into this, I was, like everyone else, I was terrified, and there was a lot of questions in this semester, especially I didn't know what we were gonna do. And it was, this thing where no one really knew, because obviously this is new territory for everyone, so they didn't know how to answer me. They were like, well, we'll just figure it out. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we'll try. But I'm definitely in a good place in regard to online school right now. I have very supportive people in every facet of life, and I'm very grateful for all of them. So I think the experience has definitely been an interesting one, and I'm a lot more comfortable now than I was maybe a couple months ago. And I've also, been able to check in with myself mentally and just realize when I'm having a bad day and when I'm having a good day, and I've been having a lot of good days, so that's good. I think it's important to check in with yourself and just make sure you don't stress yourself out, because that tends to happen sometimes. So it's definitely been a very interesting experience. It's one I will never forget. But that is it for today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up by clicking that like button, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment down below if there's anything else you want me to do, what other videos you would like me to see. But until then, I love you all. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!